What's up everyone, Talon here, and today I'm going to be going over the LBX Assault Chest Rig. Now this is going to be a newer rig for me specifically, so I want to go over some things that I think would be beneficial for you, some things that you might need to consider, my thoughts on it, so on and so forth. In doing a little bit of research about this specifically, I was a little disappointed that not a whole lot of people have done any type of reviews on the assaulting chest rig specifically. There's reviews on the Armatus systems, on the 0300. In fact, I have reviews on the Airsoft headquarters channel about those as well. But I think this being a newer system, that it just needs to get a little bit of recognition and a little bit of showtime, which is what we're doing here. Now, I'm going to be covering some things that I think I would want to see as a viewer from your point of view specifically, so let's just get into it. Of course, what is my relationship with LBX? And I'm not trying to copy someone else specifically, but because I have so many LBX rigs, so many LBX loadouts, if you're friends with me, you already know how much of a strange addiction I have with the LBX gear specifically, and I want to make it very clear I'm not sponsored by them. There's no type of connection with LBX specifically. They have no idea who I am. I've met Bo just at SHOT Show. I've seen him at American Milsim events. He doesn't know who the heck I am, nor does anyone else from LBX know who the heck I am. So I am getting all of my gear paid for by me, supplied by me, well, ordering from LBX, they're supplying it, and by no means am I getting any type of special prioritization compared to anyone else. So I think that should be 100% clear for how nicely I'm going to talk about LBX. But getting into it, I think that on the user end specifically, there are some things that need to be discussed and identified for the wearer of any type of gear specifically, regardless of LBX or any other brand for that matter. There's a couple of things to consider, such as pricing. Is this going to be within your budget? Not only that, but is it going to include any type of additional fees for including magazine pouches, general purpose pouches, radio carriers, so on and so forth? Do you have the budget in mind to build onto this rig immediately or in the very near future? Do you have any type of intention of utilizing just that rig in any specific environment? Is it designed to be kind of an all-around everyday type of rig? Is it going to be some type of crossover between airsoft and real steel? Or is it just some type of cool rig that you yourself have designed? Other things to consider is, what is your primary system? What is your secondary system? What are some things that you feel like you would need to include on your kit specifically? Because there is such modularity and customization in gear building, naturally, you have a lot of control as to how your gear is going to look. And ultimately, that also means that you, as the user of your kit, are 100% reliable and accountable for how that gear is going to get laid out and how it's going to work for you. Some things that I see specifically as I start to grab some of my own kit is airsoft players or even real steel guys will get a very cheap knockoff option. Oddly enough, about a year ago when AliExpress, Alibaba, Wish was getting super popular, a lot of guys were getting the very cheap knockoffs and saying that it was just as good, and they were just getting multiple as replacements when their cheaper version would break down relatively quickly, instead of just getting the nicer actual marketed version of the copy they were purchasing. So in the case of this right here, I have the MC Kydex pistol mag carrier. Now each one of these is going to be $25, and it's from a local manufacturer. He's local to the Milwaukee area, all American made by him, MC Kydex, and they're all very well made, very personally made, very fine attention to detail. The issue is that while I was still working at the Airsoft headquarters, there was a couple of people that would come in and say that they're getting like a knockoff version from AliExpress, Alibaba, Wish, whatever other shit Chinese knockoff manufacturer they're getting it from. And they're saying that they're getting as good of a version. I'm like, bull fucking shit. And yeah, it turns out it was not nearly as good because of retention, so on and so forth. But each one, their argument was $5 versus $25 per each one. Now they go on further into this conversation and say that it's just as good, but they break really easily and I need to keep ordering them in order to, you know, have nice versions that aren't broken on their kit. So I've had these two on my kit for the last, we'll just say 2 years, right? So I spend 50 bucks. After 2 years, they're all good. For those people in particular, they'll have the same two quantity on their rig. So I spend the 50 bucks. If they need to replace their mag carriers after every weekend, and it may be not every weekend they go out and play. So let's say they replace their two mag carriers once a month at minimum, right? So they're at $5 a piece, $10. If they replace them every single month, 2 times 12 or $10 times 12 is $120. So over the course of a year, those players are spending at roughly a minimum $120, and that's per 1 year. I've had the same two on my belt for 2 years, and I've only spent $50, right? Just mathematically over a long period of time, it just doesn't make sense. At some point, you just have to sit down and you have to do the math and you have to decide, is having the cheaper version that is just as good, which is not just as good, right? Because you keep having to order more, not you specifically. I know you're good about this. But those people that have to keep ordering and telling themselves it's just as good, they're just burning more money than they should be. And I don't get why they just don't pony up and just spend the extra money. I just don't get it. I've talked your ear off enough about my story. Let's actually go over some rigs. So I have a collection of both chest rigs and plate carriers. I will say I'm a little bit more favorable towards plate carriers because in a milsim environment that I have a lot of these plate carriers built up for, they offer better protection. They can typically hold more gear that's going to help sustain me for a longer period of time just on my person naturally. I can usually carry a larger bag that I can put extra stuff in, so on and so forth. Chest rigs, I usually like to carry more for a kind of weekend base play, more of a type of LARPer stuff. Even my real rifle magazines that I'm going to be utilizing more for just casual, take to an open range and go shoot around, stuff like that. So something like this is certainly going to be more of a recce type of kit that I have designed. This is designed to be a chest rig. One of my favorite things about this is it's based off an HSGI, so it is going to be a higher tier of brand, but it is typically, from what in my personal experience, does better with AEG magazines than gas magazines or real rifle magazines at that. I do have the MC Kydex rack radio carrier here, one of the newer radio carriers that he has developed. The HSGI open taco mag pouches, a little fanny pack dangler that is attached to the rig to serve as like grenade pouch options, smoke grenades, just glove carrier, so on and so forth. And then I have a head-on tactical slap pack or just regular pack that's going to be for hydration, spare magazines, extra grenades, stuff like that. So extremely minimalist and at a very, very low profile away from my body. Very minimalist, which is typically what you want in a chest rig. Now compare that to a similar chest rig, but this is usually titled a micro rig because of just how little it offers. And this is something that I will utilize as more of a LARP kit because it does so little to actually protect your body against any type of BB impacts. I know, called me a wuss, but I don't like getting hit with BBs any more than the next person. I don't think it makes anyone more of a man. So very minimal mag loadout, just 4. It can open up in order to hold more rifle magazines, grenades, smokes, so on and so forth. This is specifically an X harness, so it's going to go over my shoulders in an X pattern. X, I have found, does much better at retaining any type of weight distribution closer to the body. It's usually much tighter, so if I'm swinging around, sprinting head on, it doesn't move nearly as much on my body, which I am a fast person, so I like that for that reason. Now, for both of those specifically, they offer very minimal extended sustainment is what I'll call it. So something like what I have on my person right now that I just put on, such as a battle belt, a range belt, whatever have you. This is going to help supply any type of airsofter or shooter for those extended period of times. Because the chest rigs sit up so much higher onto your body, you have more clearance around your waist for a belt setup. So that could be the option that you can immediately take off or immediately put on your pistol, any type of medical pouch if you're utilizing this for real ranges, a small little roll-up dump pouch from LBX that goes really small, and it helps if it's not velcroed into itself, like so. Pistol magazine pouches, and then a little bit of room if I'm gonna put a rifle mag pouch there or not. Now, those are going to be the 2 chest rigs that I would be open to carrying that battle belt on my person. Otherwise, anything such as a plate carrier, and this one is currently one of my oldest LBX plate carriers, which is going to be part of their 0300s, which are going to be very minimalist, very naked, where they're just covered with male, and then you have the option later on to add whatever you want. So in the case of this one specifically, this is going to be more of a minimalist setup as well, where I can slide my M4 magazines on the inside of here. And I personally prefer the bungee just to hold airsoft gas magazines that are heavier, or my real rifle magazines, but with the included foam imitation plates, or even with real plates, the actual profile of my plate carrier is going to extend away from my body a little bit more compared to a chest rig. Now, in the case of some plate carriers, like my Armatus, there is an extensive amount of protrusion away from the body, creating a larger profile. And when you have airsoft specifically, any type of gear hit is going to count as a hit. So that is going to be more of a milsim type of loadout, plate carriers that offer more protection. This one being more of kind of an indoors or a weekend play type of plate carrier that is going to give me that protection against BB hits, especially on the very sides here. Still features little dangler down here. And then just over time, learning how I like my plate carrier setup, I have a general purpose pouch here for any type of smokes, frag grenades, so on and so forth. I'm currently missing a radio pouch or radio carrier, but that would go right here to have immediate access to. And nothing on the back. I have found that plate carriers also distribute and carry weight across the body more evenly compared to chest rigs, and those 2 chest rigs that I had originally, as I bring this one out, those 2 chest rigs are the worst about distributing any type of extra magazine weight or gear weight, especially loaded down with real rifle magazines. Over an extended period of time, those shoulder pads will just dig into my shoulders. The Lock N Load one here is very good about not doing that. Same thing with the Assault Chest Rig. The padding or the straps here do an excellent job with distributing that extra weight very evenly. In the case of the Lock N Load Chest Rig here, again offering minimal protection against BB impacts, I would say that this is going to be designed more as a milsimers type of chest rig. It is incredibly open and offers lots of space. Oddly enough, as a chest rig, this offers crazy amount of space. With my Armatus, I actually was able to fit more mags, smoke grenades, random tools, just stuff on this lock and load itself more than my Armatus plate carrier. And that just may be situational how I have each one set up. But with this type of chest rig here being that type of H harness across my back here, that doesn't have any type of gear across the larger section of my back, I could very easily carry a backpack. So in the case of milsim events, 40-hour events, if you're carrying a rucksack or a small little hydro pack that's going to be designated as a sustainment source. So in milsims, anyone that's going to be running and gunning or on a march that gets into a contact or anticipates getting into contact with these chest rigs, they can take those rucks off and have immediate sustainment on their gear or on their body with their lock and load chest rig. So I have used this one very minimally, just due to having very little protection, but I have used this more as a kind of slower, kind of wrecky type of loadout kit, just because it offers so much option for carrying and at a very minimal type of footprint. Now, if I were to load it out, it does have a much larger profile, but it sits lower on the body, so I can get low into the prone, shuffle around really, really easily. And that's what I like about the LBX Lock N Loads specifically. Now we'll actually get into some of the newer LBX products. The very first one is going to be my current go-to system, and that is the Armatus. Now they did announce a Armatus version 2 or Gen 2, or what do they call it? Why am I blanking on the name? Anyway, this is my Armatus, and it's been kind of designed to be a adaptive modular system that LBX is going to be producing. This has both a front placard system as well as a back placard system. So in the case of placard specifically, you could keep it very minimalist like this if you're trying to do a super low profile, maybe a commander type of role or maybe some type of officer role. Of course, I kind of have this set out more as a law enforcement type of getup with kind of the reflective airsoft that could be police, or I have one that says Border Patrol on it. That's kind of more of a Halloween scare my neighbors type of deal. But you'll notice I've got my general purpose pouch right here that would carry my extra grenades, and I have my rack radio carrier right here for my radio and having immediate access to it. My push to talk boom microphone, or I would have a headset with my communications designated on them. Now in the case of this as a base plate carrier, LBX also supplies a number of aftermarket options. The ones that I have gone with specifically is this guy as the back system. So it's going to open up, offers some room for your hydration bladder, your HPA tanks, has small little pockets here for your tagging grenades, in my case WP-40 smokes as well, and has a top pouch here that I've utilized for spare magazines or spare snacks if I've got a buddy. So in the case of this one, if I were to put this onto my back, of course, clip it in as well, so it's retained not by Velcro, but also clip retention as well. I'll take my snacks out, maybe put some frag grenades in, and that now becomes more of an assaulter's type of plate carrier. So I could have any one of my rifles go up to a door, hold the door, and I'd be like, grab one of the smoke grenades or grab one of the frag grenades, throw it over my shoulder. So then my buddy immediately back behind me in the stack grabs one of those grenades, throws it, goes off. We go into the room, all while I don't need to fumble. Here, I could have second man just grab, pull, throw. So in the case of that, makes it very fluid, very easy for that assaulting position or role. I also have here 2 front placard systems. Now I have both of these kind of built out a little bit differently. This is designed, again, more as kind of that administrative type of role or setup. I do have it with the front flap opener here that has a little milsim West tourniquet, can open up for any type of map or grid coordinate or comm communication notes, so on and so forth. A little front placard here that has a Sharpie in it and a BB. But my red rag could go on the inside there. I know I have options as far as this one actually does feature MC Kydex magazine retention clips. Those are perfect for AEG magazines specifically. They can hold gas blowback magazines, but with how heavy they are, they do come and lift up if I'm doing anything that's going to be more aggressive as movement, and come out a little too easily for my comfort specifically. At $40, $45 a pop, I want to make sure that those are held in tight. AEG magazines that I don't care if they fall out. I'm super aggressive with my AEG magazines. I've full on kicked and throw them around indoors. I don't care if they fall out. But the idea is that this could come off Assaulter's Chest Rig, slaps and clips into place, and now that same type of M4 magazine kind of admin placard can go on there or to some other type of rig. Now in the case of this one specifically, this one's going to be a little bit more minimalist because it has just the front pistol magazine pouches. I have this one set up designated to be more of that indoor type of loadout that I have on the Assaulter's Chest Rig. And the Assaulter's Chest Rig is designed to be kind of my more indoors setup. I did want to grab this as well because I just thought about it and just show to you that with this current setup, and again, these are not in the correct place at all, it does have a much larger profile. So I have a lot of stuff projecting away from my back here with that back placard system. Very easy for this to be hanging out of a doorway by accident or out of a window, get hit with a BB, and now I'm fake dead. Same thing with the front here. If I have too much protruding from around the corner, because my head is here, this eye specifically I can see out of a window and I can line of sight, someone's out of sight. But this could be hanging out of that doorway or that window. This could get hit, gear hits count in airsoft. I'm DED dead. Good thing I didn't throw that. It's my gas mag. Take this off. I kind of want to walk you through my mindset with this rig specifically. It is going to be one of the newer releases from LBX, so I was pretty excited to get my hands on it and try it out for myself. But I wanted something that's going to be a little bit more freedom of movement within a CQB environment specifically. Maybe not so much urban like milsim type of loadout, but definitely airsoft arena type of close quarters where engagements are extremely close. So things that I was looking for was, number one, a very small profile, both on the very front and on the sides here, that's going to offer me as much movement as possible and also give away as little of my position as possible as I move through an indoor environment. Number two, be modular and adaptive, just in case of whether I was going to run an AR base of rifle system, whether it be AEG magazines or gas blowback magazines like my T10, my LM4, my KWA Eve 9, and I also wanted the option of having a placard system to run MP5 magazines in the case of I wanted to run MP5 magazines indoors as well. In which case, that removable front placard system that I can change out AR magazines or MP5 magazines, that fits this bill as well. I don't need two different types of chest rigs set out or built the exact same way, but just have different front pouches on it. I don't need that. I just need different placard systems. Number 3, of course, being a budget-oriented kind of price point bracket that I could certainly get behind and feel like I'm getting a really good bang for my buck. And in the case of LBX, having so many LBX plate carriers and chest rigs, and this isn't even all of them, right? I have several more back over there that are behind the camera that I don't feel like I need to bring out because they're pretty much all the exact same, minus a pouch or a camo pattern, right? I just have so many over there. And I don't need any more, like full setups. I just need something that's going to give me more placard systems. So the Armatus and the Assault Chest Rig are the newest chest rigs and blade carriers that have been added to my collection that allow for more modularity of kit loadouts while keeping and retaining the same base type of rig, if that makes sense. So in the case of this one, I retained the tabs here, number 1 for simplicity, as well as the fact that I could take my gas blowback magazines, slide them on the inside here, and then just run a retention tab on the very top there. Of course, I could take those MC Kydex inserts, slide them on the inside of here if I wanted to run my AEG magazines, but I don't necessarily wanted to do that. On the Assaulter's chest rig, they do offer 2 MOLLE strips on the left and right hand side of the placard. The options are going to be utilizing a general purpose pouch, such as like all of the other blade carriers that I've been running. On the left hand side here, of course, being indoors where I needed immediate access, and we're not at a milsim, so it's going to be kind of more self-reliant of a loadout compared to a milsim where I could hold a doorway, someone could grab something off of my back and throw it in over my shoulder, right? Because we're indoors, I'm mixing in with general airsofters, rental players, players that have 10 years worth of experience, right? I can't be dependent on people that are on my team to kind of be on my level. There's a lot of fluctuation there. So self-reliant as far as grenades, magazines, and any other type of accessory that I would need in those environments. And of course, being a chest rig, there is the option, because it sits a little bit higher, but not that much higher, that I could run my battle belt as well. And sorry that you don't get to see a whole lot of it. Camera's just a little too far back. So I really like the opportunity to run the MC Kydex banger clips here. In the case of running my Bang 22, pull the pin, toss it, and it goes off. I can just go retrieve my grenade. We're indoors, it's not like anyone's gonna walk off with it, and if they do, they're not getting very far. So I'm able to recollect my grenades, put it back onto my kit, and no one's the wiser. Which left the right-hand side here a little bit open. My idea was I would have a slot for extra magazines, just in case of the first 3 here that I would be able to pull from here. And in the case of gas magazines specifically that hold 40 rounds compared to 120 rounds and then 250 rounds, I would need to have more gas grenades immediately on my person. Now, I knew that I wanted to run a double M4 magazine pouch, and one of the first ones that I thought was HSGI as far as having that double magazine pouch. And it works relatively well. What did not actually work out for me was the fact that there is so much weight on these gas magazines, and just in light jogging, there's enough movement here as a chest rig. Even though this chest rig is tight to my body, there's still going to be enough movement to create momentum that the gas magazines are moving away from the body here. And this is only half the weight. Once we add a second magazine here, there's significantly more momentum that they start to stretch and bang around significantly more. Of course, being very expensive magazines, I don't want any type of opportunity for them to slide out and bang across any type of concrete flooring. So the tabs were absolutely perfect for gas magazines. The open-topped HSGIs were not. I also discovered, kind of in my favor, that I was actually running too many gas pistol magazines. The very front here, I anticipated to be an immediate pouch for pistol magazines, but in the case of running my battle belt, there is also 2 magazine pouches, as you guys already know, that I run on my kit kind of exclusively. So I don't need technically 5 on me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the gun, which means that I probably need to get yet another MC Kydex holster. Oh no, that I'm going to run just on my belt here, or maybe this be a designated pistol magazine pouch. But again, this gets to be pretty heavy, so I'll probably just sit this as a on the belt attachment compared to on the rig. Overall, I thought that the chest rig for the weekend play that I was running with it did a phenomenal job with offering protection and enough protection for me. I was unfortunately struck up quite a bit on my forearms, just peeking around the corner. No, I was not chicken winging. I do a very good job not to chicken wing, but the very back empty placard system here did a good job giving me some protection against BB strikes, and there's enough width on the side here to offer protection as well. The only thing I am missing that I want to add is going to be another dangler down here. Some things that I also should bring to your attention that I think you guys should be aware of is that there are no placard systems that are immediately designed to come with any type of SMG rifle magazine pouches. I wish that there was. When I talked with Bo at the 2022 SHOT Show, yes, 2022 SHOT Show, when they released their newest plate carrier, I forget the name of it. When they announced that, I asked the question, hey, are you going to offer anything for MP5 magazines or SMG magazines for that matter? The answer that he gave me was yes, they're currently in production. However, I've not seen them since last year when they said that they would be out. So we're currently still on a standby for when that comes through. LBX does offer blank Male placard systems. So you could, if you prefer maybe the HSGI type of magazine pouch loadouts, if you don't like these thinner type of soft cloth type of pouches that LBX is manufacturing, I like them a lot. I have no problem with them at all. But if you are not a fan of them or those bungee retentions, there are options to add your preferred brand of magazine pouches by just putting them onto a blank Male system, which actually does lead me into talking about the magazines and the magazine pouches specifically. In the course of play specifically, and something to consider as well is the option and opportunity to re-index your magazines. Say for example, like this, if I'm not going to be running any type of battle belt with my dump pouch on it specifically, where am I going to put those empty magazines? That's probably a very good question and something that I think you should be asking yourselves as well. In my case specifically, if I don't have the dump pouch, I would either put them into my general purpose pouch, which is missing, or if I'm running my larger pants here, like my LBX pants, I'm gonna put them into my dump pouch, my dump pocket, get a fresh magazine, insert it, and be able to run my course of fire. And whenever I get into a breathing point, someone else takes over, I'll take my magazine, I'll put it in the far right position, and then resupply the closest to the left. In the situations of having to grab fresh magazines, I want to grab from the closest to my offhand, which is the hand that I'm going to be grabbing those magazines from. So in the case of this, I don't want to reach over my entire body, grab from the middle, pull out, insert, but I can't because it's a gas magazine. So we're going to pretend like I grabbed it, throw this into my pocket while I'm aiming down sights, and then bam, 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 Bob's your uncle. And then whenever I get into a breathing point, any type of magazine that still has BBs goes into the far left. And then my empty magazines actually go follower side up into my magazine pouches. And that allows me, during weekend play, when you're taking those breaks between games, you kind of get lost in which orientation you have your magazines. And in some cases, I've actually not put the follower side up. So when I look down and I see the bottoms of magazines, I think, oh, I'm good, I'm all set. And then I go out onto the field, we get a fresh game going, and I'm pulling all empty magazines, not realizing that they were empty and I didn't resupply them. So taking the time in order to reposition your magazines right side up, if you're not running a dump pouch, will indicate to you which ones are empty, especially in the heat of battle. Look down, I see tops, this one's bottom, still BBs, in it goes. Trying to keep it as simple for you as the shooter in those high stress environments as possible will make your life that much easier. And of course, I want to just mention something that Grantham, admin results, and a lot of other guys are going to bring up. Speaking of Grantham, did you see his most recent video today? Today's Sunday, with the Post Malone Garand rifle. Pretty cool. This is actually going to be my third time watching it. When I close all this down and turn everything off, that's just a cool video. Anyway, his advice has always been, for as long as I can remember, wear your kit, wear your gear, regardless of how you're going to be wearing it or how you have it set up. It's none of my business. Of course, get what's good for you, what's comfortable for you, what you prefer to utilize while you are doing BB wars. And of course, wear it. It's your gear. Whether you're utilizing high-end gear or very low-end budget-oriented gear, every piece of gear needs to get worn in. And in my experience, it's never been a good thing to wear your gear in while you're using it out on the field. Actually put your gear on, go through the house, do your chores, do monotonous things in your kit, just wearing it. Of course, you can practice clearing through hallways, clearing through rooms, swapping magazines, re-indexing magazines. You can do all of that. Get your gear comfortable to you so that it feels like a second skin. With LBX, I find that it is incredibly comfortable. It requires very minimal wear-in, but I do wear it in, and I wear it in pretty quickly because I wear it so much. So by the time I take this out for the second time, it's already gonna feel like another piece of clothing that I'm just putting on. There's not gonna be any type of extra rigidity. There's no type of point where the gear might be fighting me because I'm not pushing it in the right way. And of course, you identify what's not working for you and what you need to change before it actually matters. You don't want to find at a milsim event that you have your pouches laid out in the wrong orientation. Identify that at a weekend game before you go to that milsim. And that's going to give you the most success as the individual shooter. If you have any further questions, put them down in the comment section below. I'll be happy to answer them. But I've rambled on more than long enough. I do a very, very good job at that, don't I? Just rambling and rambling and rambling. So I'm gonna let you guys go. Go live your lives. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye. I've got some cleaning up to do.